Today, another round of No Kings protests pushing back against the Trump administration get underway, but constitutional experts say this is going to be different than last time. And as we near the 3-week mark since the government shutdown started, hundreds of thousands of Coloradans could soon be denied food benefits, causing concerns ahead of the holidays. And today's weather is going to be windy with gusts up to 40 miles an hour in the metro area as a cold front passes through. Good morning, I'm Lauren Scafidi. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get a check of your forecast with weather impact meteorologist Carly Cassidy tracking those chilly and windy conditions.
Yeah, you could see a little bit of the tree moving there in the camera, and we've been showing the flags throughout the morning. So if you step outside, the wind, that is the main thing you are going to notice as we go throughout today. And then those colder temperatures from the wind, bringing in that colder air by tonight. So this morning, this has just continued to increase and spread around, but we're seeing about 20 to 30 miles per hour for those gusty winds. And to the north, we've got more as that continues to fill in and that cold front passes through. This morning, starting things off, it's fairly mild, seasonal where we should be. So definitely grab the warm layer, but you're going to want to keep it around for today. Our temperature already at 57 degrees. We're really not warming by much. If you look here, afternoon high temperature, only 59. So it's that front that's moving in, that wind bringing in the cooler air, so temperatures aren't going to climb a whole lot. Unless you're down here to the southeast corner, that front not going to make it quite there until we get there until the afternoon, so temperatures still have time to warm. While the rest of us, not going to see that much of a difference. So keep the extra layers around as we go into the afternoon, because with that gusty wind coming out of the north, give us just a little bit of that wind chill factor. And then more of that cold air for tonight. This is our first really cold night so far of the season, at least for most of us, to the metro, to the plains. We're seeing the 20s and 30s. That's why we have that freeze warning in place in purple and then the frost advisory in place in blue. So we'll talk about the details, impacts in the 70s for tomorrow, my full forecast.
Thank you so much, Carly. Right now, Aurora police are investigating an overnight shooting. Because of that investigation, I-225 at 6th and Alameda was shut down for several hours early this morning. They say a call came in just before 1:15 this morning that a vehicle had driven into the barrier along southbound I-225. When they got to the scene, they found that person behind the wheel was shot, and he was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. No one else was hurt, but the driver is still in critical condition this morning. APD did not release any suspect information. This morning, we're tracking a deadly crash in Wheat Ridge that shut down Highway 58 overnight. Police are investigating that 4-car crash that happened between McIntyre Street and I-70 around 8 o'clock last night. Investigators say one person has died and 3 others were sent to the hospital. The eastbound lanes of Highway 58 just reopened before 6 this morning. Meanwhile, in Larimer County, Colorado State Patrol is investigating a deadly crash near the Wyoming state line. State troopers say a car heading north on Highway 287 veered into the southbound lane around 6:20 last night. An oncoming Suburban tried to avoid the crash, hit a guardrail, and then hit the car head-on. The 2 cars caught fire, trapping both drivers inside. Both people were pronounced dead at the scene. Highway 287 at Red Mountain Road was closed in both directions for several hours, but it is back open now. Across the country today, including right here in Colorado, people are getting ready for the latest No Kings protest. Top Republicans are suggesting that citizens criticizing them hate America, that they're violent extremists, even terrorists. 9 News reporter Rhea Jha spoke with constitutional experts for some perspective.
The nationwide No Kings protest is expected to bring in crowds here at the Capitol and in more than 60 cities and towns across Colorado for the second time this year. But this one feels different, as the Trump administration and Republican allies suggest American protesters are extremists and even terrorists.
Antifa is a domestic, left-wing terrorist organization.
Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble.
The revolution will not be televised.
This protest comes just weeks after President Trump labeled Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. Antifa is generally described as a loose anti-fascist movement.
It was an incredibly vague order, but the problem is that no one really runs that organization. There's not anyone that you can target. It's more a concept.
Jessica Smith is a constitutional law attorney. She worries about how Antifa could be generalized.
It can be used as a stepping stone to targeting other organizations that are more political and are organized. Really, it's kind of a card that they can sometimes play whenever they disagree with a viewpoint.
But she says there's no legal process for branding an American movement a terrorist group. group.
One, there's no authority for the president to do that, but more fundamentally, it gets dangerously close to viewpoint discrimination.
For the people planning to protest, Smith says the rules are the same as they've always been.
If the protesters are there trying to just get their message out, then I think that it's likely that the police will just respond accordingly and everything should be fine.
After all, history tends to repeat itself.
So far, there have been points in history where the First Amendment has been tested and it's holding up so far, and so hopefully it continues to hold up for another 200 years.
9 News also spoke with progressive activist and former state representative Joe Salazar. He's speaking at Denver's No Kings protest today. We asked him if Coloradans would be afraid to protest as the Trump administration cracks down on dissent.
We're not afraid of a dictator, and we shouldn't be afraid of a dictator. I think that as Americans, we need to remember where we come from, where we've been, and the fact that we stand in the face of authoritarianism throughout many generations. We shouldn't be afraid to attend a rally, a peaceful rally at that.
Organizers say they expect this week's crowd in Denver to be about half the size of last time, 10 to 15,000 people. The protests come as we hit day 18 of the government shutdown. Taking a live look at the nation's state capitol right now, that officially makes it the third longest funding lapse in modern history. The Pentagon shifted funding to meet the October 15th payday for active duty troops, but payments are uncertain for October 31st. And with no end in sight, concerns are growing about benefits like food assistance running out. Right now, more than 600,000 Coloradans could see their SNAP benefits run out in a couple of weeks because of this ongoing shutdown. If it stretches into November, it would put families already feeling the pinch at even greater risk. That has food banks across the state getting ready to feed a lot more families in the coming weeks. Food Bank of the Rockies expects the impact to be significant. They tell 9 News that they're seeing the highest levels of hunger in more than a decade.
As the cost of housing increases, as the cost of food increases, they aren't able to get through the month on the paycheck that they have. I'll also add that with the furloughs, we're also looking at the federal workers who recently missed their first paycheck.
Close to 335,000 households in Colorado rely on SNAP. About half of those recipients are children.